necessary modalities so that we can have this class. I'm actually starting a new batch tomorrow. So we need to get done. We cannot shift this class because there's a significant number of enthusiasts pretty much waiting to kickstart their complete crypto investment courseware tomorrow. All right, it's not breaking, it's audible. I think it's also live on Facebook. Let me just get the feedback from Zoom that is live. If it's live, I think we can start. Let me verify from my phone. Okay. Looks like we're good to go. All right. So I'll be sharing the screen so that we start proper. So as I was saying, we went through a great ordeal, and we have reached the final day of the courseware. I'll start by saying congratulations. I hope this kickstart a significant journey in your careers and in your professional lives in the crypto industry. Even though I have a lot of reservation, by the time that I'll mute the mic so that we can have a chat, we are going to rub minds. Okay, so we finished day before yesterday by checking income generating options in the crypto space, right? Even though we had challenges, but I think we considered hodling, we considered what are ICOs, we considered airdrops, we considered cycle trading, we considered the concept around staking and masternodes, and the list go on. Today, I said it's pretty much like a town hall. It's like me and you rubbing minds and zooming out of the crypto market to see things or to make sense out of all these things we are doing. Thus, in today's module, we'll be considering what I call financial intelligence, strategy, and application. We are going to consider some significant altcoins narrative, what I call cryptocurrency taxonomy. We're going to consider planning for the long term. This is the peak, all right? You need to see the benefits that comes with this industry. And if we have enough time, we're pretty much going to have an idea of what you should expect in this bull run. All right. So let's start. One thing that I think we all have reached a proficient level to understand is that the crypto market, in terms of exchanges, bull run, bear market, airdrops, mining, tapping, you name it, it's not all that entails when we talk about the blockchain industry. All right. Or rather, it's better for us to put it in the sense that crypto market is not the only use case narrative or the use case as far as blockchain industry is concerned. It's just that coincidentally for us, it is the biggest and the most matured use case. By making that statement, it tells us that there are other use cases that are pretty much behind the scene, or rather they are in the works. And at the time that they will also reach fusion, or what we call when they reach maturity, we should begin to see more than one use cases that has the capacity, the potential, and capability to attract massive investment the way the crypto market have attracted massive investment. The last time we had a sneak view of the market, we saw that it has a combined capitalization of around 2.2 trillion US dollars. Thus, if truly we need to have the future into perspective, yes, we appreciate markets today, but the industry is not all about markets. If I do not tell you this, I do you a huge disfavor. So pretty much it's not in your interest, it's not in my interest for us to think that all our lives is going to be airdrops, tapping, bull run, bear market. We need to ask ourselves the question. So what happens if, what's the right word? What happens if tomorrow we now find a different use case, and that use case attracts so much investment that the capitalization, the market cap, or the currency cap, or the investment cap of that new use case narrative is more than the currency market? Don't you think that monies will be exiting crypto markets into that new use case? Exchanges will no longer be bragging that pretty much they rule the world or they rule the space, because we are beginning to see alternative narrative taking center stage. I mean, let's think about it. So pretty much since today is pretty much like a town hall, please feel free to type your thoughts on the chat box, and pretty much let's see how we go, okay? Thank you. One show motivation that has brought us into this niche of financial technology is that we want to make money. That's true. And this is coming from the fact that there has never been a time in the entire history of human civilization where the resources of this world have been evenly distributed to the inhabitants of Earth. That's one truth. One thing that definitely we can agree is that 95% of the resources of this world is under the ownership of 5% of the population of this world. Leaving a meager 5% of the resources of this world for the remaining 95% of the population of this world. This is why we compete with one another. This is why we fight one another. This is the reason why we snitch on one another, because what we are struggling for resource control, at least in our little way. Trust me, everybody is trying to move from here to here, using as many strategies available to human knowledge to mankind. Is it education? Is it relationship? Some of us have gone as far as to subscribe to extra physical or supernatural intervention, whether it's magic or voodoo, you name it. The whole idea is to see how we will move from this passion, this aspect of the resource allocation, demography, and find ourselves here. Throughout human civilization. In fact, the most powerful people on the face of the earth, coincidentally, are also the group of people who pretty much, this is where they belong. And I want us to, what's the right word? To allow this to sink in. And with this, it's beginning to imply that the poorest of the poor may not ever be rich. And even though they are going to be rich, kind of looks as if it's not anytime soon. I mean, because this is the reality. And it's not just a recent development as far back as the agricultural age, as far back as the industrial age, as far back as the computing age. But now that we're in the web-oriented age, the resource landscape, as far as the distribution of resources is concerned, only a few percentage of the population of this world sits on massive reserve of resources. And it looks as if they are doing everything in their power to ensure it remains the same. And this forces us to ask the question, so what's the way out for you? What's the way out for me? Now, while these people, if they had the power, they'll make sure that nobody beneath the poverty threshold ever find a way out. It also happens that across human civilization, we find ourselves in eras where wealth, I don't know whether I can say naturally or supernaturally, get transferred. Now, in this situation, if you are privileged to be alive among the citizens of the world, that's one thing. And if you invest in understanding the technique, the technology, the knowledge, wherein if you align yourself with this trend of wealth transfer, you may create for yourself an opportunity that pretty much is life-changing. And that takes us to the concept of wealth transfer. Wealth transfer as far as human history is concerned, what will I say, has gone across different eras. And pretty much we are going to assess these eras and see how significant it is. So during the agricultural era, so pretty much put your attention on this column. We'll come to this later, all right? Put your attention there. We'll come to the other column later, okay? So during the agricultural era, yes, resources were not evenly allocated, but one thing that we can begin to understand is that across human civilization, the standard for solving problems, the technique and technology that is widely used, oftentimes brings with it the privilege for massive wealth, the privilege for economic empowerment. And during the agricultural era, the problem of human beings revolves around hunger. All right? Thus, the country, the group of people who pretty much have the most of food reserves, they pretty much fell among the wealthiest, the most powerful, as far as human civilization is concerned back in the days. We'll be right to say during that era, it was the affair of kings and queens, the affair of emperors, you know, the list gone. Because one of the resources that comes with this era of wealth transfer is what? An arable land and a workforce. And coincidentally, these royals, these king and queens, pretty much by royal decree, by laws, kind of had the whole land for them. Doesn't stop there. The citizens of their kingdom and their domain were their subjects. So the two resources that will make you extremely wealthy in that era of civilization where the problem of majority of the occupants of the world was pretty much revolves around hunger and food. That made that time so significant for anybody who invested in agriculture, invested in in either the resources that will bring about food, those who had lands, those who had people, those who could create limitless avenues of workforce. They pretty much secured for themselves, because I think that's the right language. They secured for themselves that privilege to make wealth. Thus, it made sense that slavery was pretty much the norm. Wealth then transferred, or the era of wealth transfer then metamorphosed from the agricultural era to what we call the industrial era. So pretty much at this time, probably our problems in the world pretty much was going beyond the stomach infrastructure. So pretty much it was going beyond food. All right. We began to realize that not only could we, all right, it was not enough for us to pretty much till the ground. We then realized that there were resources of economic benefit or economic significance buried beneath the ground. Or rather, permit me to say, the concept of slavery and using human beings as workforce in a given 24 hours limited the benefits that comes with it. Thus, we began to see an era where we introduce concepts called what? Machines. Thus, the concept of mechanization and pretty much doing so much more in the given allocation of time was significant. And anyone who had skill, who invested in this niche, was pretty much an inventor around this niche of solving global problem. Because you see, our problem pretty much reached the point where we needed machine. Even during that era, warfare was mechanized. Unlike the agricultural era, warfare was pretty much bows, arrows, spears, you can name it. But during the industrial era, we began to see the introduction of machines and weaponry and, the list go on. But the whole crux of the matter is the people who were privileged to be alive in this era of wealth transfer, as long as they invested in this new way of solving problem, this new way of what I would say in my words, solutions development, they created for themselves avenue for wealth. Like, let me go back, like in the agricultural era, I mean, one of the biggest reward you will get if you are a man of valor during that time, let's say you were a military general, you went and fought for the empire, and pretty much you help in conquering of more lands for the empire. What would the king, queen, emperor will do to you is pretty much give you land, give you slaves, and definitely that will make you extremely wealthy. Why? Because the problem of that era was pretty much food, 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 food. We didn't have too much of a problem. Then pretty much things associated with food, disease, clothing, the list go on. Thus, by the time that we're in the industrial era, our problems also um, metamorphosed, and thus there was need for machines. Now, one thing again that you will understand is that during any era of wealth transfer or during any era of human civilization where a certain technique is what the whole world has employed in solving uh, global problems, there was sort of, now this is seen from a layman perspective, there was sort of a relationship between the technique that solves problem and also a modality to ensure that these problems as there was also a modality to ensure that as this technique solves problems, those who are the inventors of these techniques, those who pretty much are the big players in this scene, they get value, they get incentivized, they get reward, probably in monetary terms, more probably in other economic terms beyond money. These two will always work hand in hand. Now, while there is an era of wealth transfer, there is also a mechanism to ensure that value is gotten and reward goes the other way. So as you give value, you who is giving the value, you get reward. So pretty much the players in this scene to ensure that value is evenly distributed, at the same time incentive gotten, also found a significant niche, because you see, when you solve global problem and you do not get reward from it, the whole idea is defeated. Thus, we began to see a strong relationship in eras of transfer between the predominant technique that solves world's problem and some sort of a financial incentivization mechanism that works hand in hand. Thus, during the agricultural era, those who pretty much would take your food produce, your silk, your spice, your perfume, you name it, your barley, you name it, to the furthest part of the world were merchants. So the merchandising was pretty much a very significant part of the global economy at that time. Thus, when the era of wealth transfer moved from that agricultural era to pretty much the industrialized era, at the same time, this mechanism that brings value moved into what we began to see as merchant banking. Because during this time, they could break beneath the earth. So concepts like gold, silver, coal, sulfur, cobalt, you name it. And because of that, things of value were pretty much copper, silver, gold, you name it. And during that time, that was the time we began to saw the introduction of what we call currency notes. I think it began, according to the history of money, currency, that's paper notes, was introduced by the Asian region, to be specific, China. And the story around it is that pretty much there was a very vibrant empire, a Chinese empire, or let me say, Mandarin Empire. I don't know what's the right word. And people will pretty much put a lot of things on their cart through donkeys and horses, and they were going through the Silk Road. Now, pretty much there was a strong economy in Asia that when you take your things there, it's pretty much cumbersome for you to be moving from one location in China to another location and things like that. So pretty much when you come, you pretty much declare your net worth in resources, and a receipt is given to you from the emperor's office. And that receipt pretty much captures your net worth. So pretty much there's a warehouse that collects it and issues a receipt. So you necessarily don't have to be moving with your silk, with your barley, with your, you name it. As long as you move with that receipt, you can even do transactions, and the net worth of your transaction will be deducted from the net worth that is captured in the receipt, which pretty much were paper notes. That was the beginning of currencies. And at that time, every currency was backed with equivalent resources, equivalent value of goods. All right. Up to the age of industrialization, where we begin to print currency notes. In fact, most of the currencies of this world, including the US dollars, were backed by gold. I think as early as the 1920s. The whole idea is whoever subscribed, had knowledge, created a solution around solving world problems, which was one, that person will get incentivized, get a reward, and by so doing, there was a merchant banking sector ready to ensure that goods and services, solutions and technologies and techniques, if it goes to you, the best way you can buy the solution or pay for this solution is through the financial services rendered by this system. So we began to see a strong relationship between technologies that solve world problems and a financial infrastructure that harnesses the solutions that are being rendered. Wealth transfer, or rather the era of global solutions development, then moved from the industrial era to pretty much what we call the computer age. So pretty much at this point, I don't know what is the rationale behind it, but one of the things I can see from history is that with machine, you can only get as much as you create. It's pretty much a garbage in, garbage out kind of a thing. So pretty much the whole concept of introducing computational mathematics or using mathematical logic in creating solutions pretty much herald the computer age, powered by softwares, powered by peripheral devices. And one of the junction that we found is that during this era, you cannot go beyond your physical reach. It's bound by geography. But during this era, we began to see concepts like intranet, which later moved to the concept called internet. And by so doing, we began to experience web technologies. Of course, at that same time, the financial technology infrastructure that will ensure that value and incentive is gotten to all players also metamorphosed from merchant banking to what we call computing banking. So pretty much banking pretty much was not using pretty much the era of typesetting or typewriters, but pretty much computers and operating system on those computers. It didn't stop there. Banking became an interconnection hub where we begin to see headquarters, branch offices, and the list go on. For you who was an average citizen, an average citizen in that era, is that if you had knowledge, you invested in skill and you built solutions around this trend, not against this trend, that was pretty much your opportunity of making wealth. Thus, if we can go back to these eras, we can see that the career demography, like for here, had to do with a lot of mining, a lot military, mining, military, um, uh, industrialization, mechanization, engineering, has to do with iron, has to do with tin, has to do with gold, has to do with machine, weaponry, and the people who were inventors, electricity, motor, the list go on, were captured among the wealthiest people of the world around this era. Thus, when solving problem moved from the industrial complex into the concept of computing and web and what is the right word and softwares, we begin to see the concept of operating systems. What's the right word? Operating systems, and the list go on. Eras of web transfer then moved from there. Excuse me. Then moved from there to the web technologies, because you see here, there was a raw material created called data. And during this time, this data was analyzed and we begin to create what we call sense out of data. So during this era of wealth transfer, the technologies or the techniques that solves problem were no longer were pretty much in that era where they don't wait for problem. Using data, they could predict future problems and by so doing, generate solutions. Not only that, we then begin to make use of the best of geography. So pretty much you don't get limited by as far as your eyes can see. No, web technology infrastructure not only connects you to other branches, but also connects you to all players in that market niche. As I say, in any of these eras, the financial infrastructure was also there readily to do what for you? To offer. So as this era of solving problems, technologies or techniques to solve problem, the financial infrastructure was also metamorphosing. So pretty much we began to see the concept of digital banking. Eras of wealth transfer then move from the tech, infotech era to what we call a connectionless technology. Now, connectionless technology was that you can still solve problem without physical contact. You can still solve problem without having people or having players in a box to solve problem. This is where the concept of social connection came to play. Like, for instance, how is it that we are having a learning experience right now? And we are not in the typical lecture theater. We are not in the typical boardroom. I mean, if we, regardless of the technologies that you can use in a lecture theater, regardless of the technologies that you can use in a typical boardroom to do what you want to do, there's every tendency I wouldn't have been able to get you all in the same room in real time. Thus, we begin to see how these technologies and techniques that solve problem are pretty much moving. And from a web perspective, you can see how Web 1 metamorphosed to Web 2. And pretty much this is where we are right now. And at the same time, banking or the financial technology infrastructure are also pretty much expressing themselves. So it's not pretty much you doing digital, but you can realize that digital banking has gone even to social media boundaries, or rather borders. For those of you who pretty much are developing content on social media, you technically do not need a typical bank account. Those social media platforms pretty much have an enumeration or an incentive modalities where you get paid as your content gets the needed attention, the list go on. It's in the light of this that we have seen across history that those who invested in these niches, those who pretty much gain knowledge around this trend of technology solutions, pretty much created wealth for themselves. Now we are the era where the demography for problem solving is moving from us user-centered to a new niche, which is device-centered. We are beginning to see that the devices that we have are pretty much smart devices that they can do some specific functions on their own, courtesy of the fact that they have an operating system installed on them and things like that. This pretty much is telling us that we are moving into an era of problem solving where a device can initiate a transaction with another device, and by so doing, they may not need human interaction. Now, when we're talking about this, we're talking about Web 3.0, and Web 3.0, we're referring to concepts like artificial intelligence, concepts like semantic webs, concepts like Internet of Things. But you will agree with me that if it's true that the future of solutions development will create a situation where devices can interact with themselves, it means that the former way of the financial technology may not give the needed result, because with the billions of devices, if all of them will be interacting in a haphazard pattern in real time, which of the known financial technology can take that load or that throughput? And before you understand, you begin to see a pattern of modality. And from here to here, pretty much, it has been what we call a centralized modality. Thus, looking at the uniqueness of the technologies around this niche, there is need that the technology that will ensure seamless transactions between devices cannot be centrally governed. It has to be what? Decentralized. And this is the significance of blockchain technology. So just as we can see a strong relationship, like a boyfriend and girlfriend relationship between eras of technology that solve problem and the financial infrastructure that ensures that there is value and incentive, so also we can see that as we move to Web 3.0, no other financial infrastructure that is suitable to ensure that there is real-time transactional availability, even in throughput for interactions at the device layer, at the solution, at the software layer, even within stacks, than blockchain solution. Could it be that just as how previous era of wealth transfer regenerated wealth for people, most especially, what's the right word? Most especially when they invested, built solutions around that trend, invented things around that trend, or gained knowledge around that trend. Could it be that He who begins to prepare himself for a Web 3.0 future may create for him or her an opportunity for massive wealth. Most players believe that Web 3.0 is a vehicle that is going to usher in the new generation's era of wealth transfer. And for that reason, in the left, we have the technology, Web 3.0. On the right, we now have a compatible financial technology infrastructure that will bring about seamless transactions, seamless enumeration and incentivization on the left, which will be powered by blockchain technology. And if that's the case, you now agree with me that what we are enjoying right now in the terms of crypto exchanges is just a tip of the iceberg. One of the three or four players in Web 3.0 is semantics, machine learning, artificial intelligence, and Internet of Things. Semantics, have you ever found yourself on a browser, you Google about something, only for you to come to a social web like Facebook, social web like Twitter, social web like Instagram, and you begin to see adverts around that thing that you Google? That's to tell you that the web space is kind of like, what's the right word? The web space is customizing herself to suit you, the individual user. No matter how billions you guys are, the web will make sure that she is customized to your viewing pleasure. Now that's semantics for you. The web being intelligent of its own. Artificial intelligence, I don't need to say more on that. Internet of Things is another era of solutions development that we look forward in the future. Internet of Things pretty much is like bringing every electronic device on the internet. I think that's the closest thing. Some of the electronic gadgets or the electronic devices that are captured in the internet pretty much right now are pretty much our computers, our tablets, our smartphones, and smart devices, those kind of smart TVs, the list go on, and pretty much some industrial devices. Internet of Things is going beyond that. Oftentimes because you see these devices pretty much have some unique feature that make them discoverable in the web space. One is that they have an operating system. Two is because they have a unique identifier in the case of IP addresses, MAC addresses, the list go on. So pretty much three, they are compatible with interconnection pathways, whether it's Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, the list go on, right? Now, the future of Web 3.0 captured in Internet of Things is that everything electrical and electronic will also be captured in the web. I'm talking about your TV, your fridge, your lighting system, your microwave, the list go on, because in the future, these devices will also be having operating system installed on them. They'll have a unique identifier, and pretty much they can also be accessible through microwave or interconnection technology pathways, whether it's Wi-Fi or microwave or Bluetooth, you name it. So pretty much look at it as you are not at home and you do not know if you switched off the lights in your house. Using the Internet of Things, the topology of your house will be pretty much in the software in your smartphone. And pretty much you can log in into your house. And there and then you can see, oh, I did not switch off the light. By punching a button on the screen of your smartphone, the light will literally go off. At this level, that's the right word. At this level, I'm coming. At this level, that tells you the massive wealth that is coming in this era of solutions. And if you position yourself, you are creating an opportunity for massive wealth to yourself. This now takes us to financial intelligence, strategy, and application. Now, yesterday, when no, day before yesterday, when we're considering cycle trading, excuse me a minute. Yesterday, when we were considering cycle trading and hodling, one of the key things that was very central, like for cycle trading, was your expenditure strategy. Now, what were we trying to say about expenditure strategy? Pretty much simple. Um, so this is pretty much what the market looks like. These are halving thresholds, and pretty much what do we understand? After halving, pretty much the market goes up on the first wave, and pretty much the market goes on a blow off on the second wave, and after that is a fall, and pretty much market correction till another halving. So pretty much the best time to buy is before the halving, and pretty much the best time to sell is when the market is at its peak, right? This is how you recoup. But if you are thinking of being in the market in seasons like this, you need to plan for the next phase or the next cycle of the market. Thus, your expenditure strategy at this point is very important, right? So we considered the concept So we considered the concept of the windows you have in your expenditure strategy. We considered you either keeping 10% for yourself and 90% for the market, or you keeping 90% for yourself with 10% for the market, and the lists go on. Now, one thing that we have understood that if you really want to be proficient, you really want to be very wealthy or make massive returns in the internet space, or rather in the blockchain space, I think the right word is in the market, in the cryptocurrency market, your expenditure strategy is very important. Very important. And we have realized that there's every tendency that you can make massive wealth in three bull runs. Now, this is pretty much what I have indicated Chidi when we're running our blockchain financial intelligence masterclass. This was a data that we saw all through the past. That with an excellent expenditure strategy, you can make massive wealth in just three bull runs with ease. And pretty much I'm going to explain. Now, when we talk about an excellent expenditure strategy, an excellent expenditure strategy will require you to allocate a high percentage for the market, at least in your first market cycle. Very important. What are we trying to say? We're talking about those who should be allocating 70% to the market, 60% to the market, 80% to the market, massive. Even with the standard ROI trajectory, you can do like so much. That's it. Well, for instance, let's look for instance. Let's say we worked with $100. And let's say you bought a token that pretty much is a single digit cent coin. So let's say pretty much a single digit is 1 cent, 2 cents, any coin that is below 10 cents. And pretty much from your analysis and research, this coin will pretty much will do well in the bull run. So let's say you buy a coin that is 0.0. So any number is a single digit, right? So let's say 25. So $100 pretty much will give you 4,000 coins. All right. So pretty much this coin made, let's say, 3,000%. So times 3,000 divided by 100. So pretty much your um I'm coming. That's not the right word. So we're talking of 4,000. Let's go back again. $100. $100. You bought it at 0.025, right? So you now have 4,000 coins. Sorry, 4,000 coins, not $4,000. Let's get it. So the price then moved from 2 cents to, let's say, 20 cents is 1,000%. Sorry, 25 cents is 1,000%. So 50 cents is 2,000%. That's half a dollar. So 75 cents is 3,000%. So let's work with 3,000%. Okay, 75 cents. So the coin is not even $1. So 75 cents. So let's say you now sold it at 0. Let's say 78 or 79. That means you make $3,000 from $100. Now, this is where your first cycle, if you want to employ what we call an intelligent an intelligent strategy, comes to play. Now, somebody who will allocate 70% of this amount to himself will definitely be different from the person who will allocate 70% to the market. All right. So pretty much this person allocates 0.7. So he pretty much has $2,000 now to spend in the next bear market. All right. When the next bear market comes, he has completed one market cycle. Of course, we shouldn't be expecting that coins will be as cheap as a single digit cent coin. Worst case scenario, doubles digit. All right. So pretty much you'll be buying coins around that. Those coins are no longer 10 cents or below 10 cents, even in the best of scenario. All right. So what are we trying to say? In this sense, let's say you buy a token and that token is a 20 cents, 30 cents, 38 cents, like how we saw what we saw Solana pretty much this time last year. I don't know. Was a little bit over the dollar. We saw the likes of Phantom, pretty much double-digit cents, right? So pretty much, let's say you bought it, let's say 0.3636 cents. So pretty much you no longer have 4,000 coins, you now have 6,000 coins, right? So now this 36 cents now does what we call 3,000%. So from 36 cents, when it becomes $3.6 is 1,000%, right? So pretty much when it is $7.2 is 2,000%. So when the coin is pretty much $11, you've made 3,000%. So let's say pretty much now you are in your second bull run. A 36-cent coin now give you pretty much, let's say, $12. This then give you 72,000. Pretty much you can not necessarily allocate 70% to the market. You can allocate maybe 60%, 0.6 to the market. So you now have 43,000 ready for the market. Now you are pretty much entering your third bull run. So the next bear market comes. Let's say we are not expecting a coin to fall to the cent region. Pretty much, let's say the single digit, because in this case, we're just using best case scenario, or rather worst case scenario, so that you cannot be too excited. So this coin falls to, let's say, the Solana now. which was pretty much 9, 8 people who bought Solana at $6 and the rest. Like the case of Ton now, that is pretty much less than $7. I think Ton is 5 something. So pretty much, let's say you now buy the coin at, let's say, 4.3 single dot digits. So now you now have 10,000 coins. And so $4 means $40. 4.3, so that means $43 is 1,000%. So definitely 86 is 2,000%. So pretty much when the coin becomes a 3-digit coin, 125, 136, you get 3,000%. So it now becomes, let's say, like Solana that moved from $8 or $9 middle last year. And Solana is pretty much a 3-digit coin, 140 something dollars. Pretty much, let's say 142. Technically, you've hit the million. Courtesy of what? Courtesy of what? And a financial intelligence strategy. It's not about the intelligence strategy, it's applying it. And applying it is not kids' play. You're going to go through what we consider the toughest military drill. And that will require you to own it up. All right? That will require you to own it up. This now takes us to significant altcoins narratives that matters moving forward. Now, why am I trying to say this? I'm saying this because by now, you should know that the crypto market is what you have already gotten. So it's in your pocket now, right? Now, you should understand that it will not continue that way. Thus, there are future narratives that will herald alternative use cases. Those narratives include green blockchains, mobile mining blockchains, and Web3-oriented social network blockchains. I'll try and do this as fast so that we can get it. So green blockchains. I have an article for us to check. All right. And this article is the Versailles, what's the right word? Is the Versailles Declaration. I'll explain what is Versailles Declaration so that you people can understand. The Versailles Declaration came to be by virtue of the security challenges that happened in Europe. To be specific, Russia invaded Ukraine. All right? I'm not a journalist. I don't know who is to be blamed, what is the real problem. And I will not advise you to try and do that. But there's one thing we know is that Russia invaded Ukraine. And when Russia invaded Ukraine, what is called NATO or Western countries pretty much came to collect the fight from Ukraine. So one thing that they tried to do is that they now place sanctions on Russia. All right? They place sanctions on Russia because Russia was the primary producer of fossil fuel, natural gas, crude oil to Europe. So Europe sanctioned Russia by cutting down the market for Russia in Europe as a way of punishing Russia for invading Ukraine. All right. So this was meant to cripple Russia, but unfortunately, Russia retaliated economically in a different way. Russia retaliated by saying she is no longer interested in giving her crude, her natural gas to Europe. In fact, Russia is saying moving forward, even we are not trying to say that if you come, we're not going to sell it to you. But if you come, you are going to buy under our terms. And one of our terms is no longer dollar-dominated transactions. If you want to buy our resources, pretty much you're going to pay us in our own currency. Now, that had an economic impact. The first economic impact is that somehow for the West or Europe, anything from September, I think, they enter what we call winter, right? And with winter, everything of their infrastructure get what? Frozen. Because it gets frozen, there is a need for them to double their energy consumption. In some cases, triple their energy consumption just to keep their infrastructure running. Thus, the amount of energy raw materials that they will need in this September to, I think, February, March is very, very crucial. And with Russia cutting down supply because they were getting these things at the cheapest price from Russia. So this then exposed them, and that had a dramatic impact on their economy. So when they have this impact on their economy, they responded by declaring what we call the Versailles Declaration. Now, if you ask me, I would have said, you guys would have just went and met Russia. I mean, we are one family. Let's solve this thing in-house. But Europe, or by extension NATO, took the battle to a different level by doing what we call the Versailles Declaration. And the Versailles Declaration got all the European countries to come and agree that come 2030, they are going to cut off. In fact, it was last year. They gave themselves to, I think, November last year to cut off their dependence on Russia's oil, Russia's fossil fuel, with the plan to build an independent energy alternative for them. So the first thing that they are working on is building on what? Defense capabilities, reduce energy dependence, and also build a more robust economy for themselves. All right. Our attention is not on defense or economic base. Our attention is on energy dependency. Under energy dependency, they make some important statements. They are considering speeding up the development of renewables and the production of key components to ensure that they accelerate their energy projects. They are considering reinforcing a contingency plan for security supply. This is the one that gets me to raise this idea. They are considering of improving energy efficiency and the management of energy consumption, and promoting a circular approach between manufacturing of energy and the consumption of energy. Now, this is very important. What are they trying to say is that from the production of energy, electricity, to the usage, one thing will definitely take the charge, and that's efficient usage. I expect this to turn to a law, and you will even pay fine if your electrical gadgets consume too much electricity. For us in Africa, we should get ready to get all those their equipment that consume too much electricity to come to our shores. This is the reality. Now, what's the implication of this policy moving forward? One of the infrastructure that consume a lot of electricity is the payment system. What we call cross-border payment infrastructure. I'm referring to Visa, I'm referring to MasterCard, I'm referring to SWIFT, I'm referring to Western Union money transfer, the list go on. Because this financial technology infrastructure are in business 247. And for them to be in business 247, their machines, their servers, their mainframe need to be running. Why? So that they can process global transaction by the second. Now, thus, if this becomes a law, they must have two options. The first is they must design new machines or new devices, mainframe servers that consume low electricity. Or they should consider, is there a technology that is energy efficient, wherein if they employ their infrastructure on top of that technology, they can achieve this goal without spending upfront investment in overhauling their technology. If there is that technology, it pretty much suits the narrative. While that is under research, the World Economic Forum have already signaled blockchain technology as an efficient infrastructure for this goal. This is where the future looks super bright. Now, when we now talk about the future looking super bright, the big question is which blockchain? With the thousands of blockchains that we have, the big question is which blockchain? Is it Bitcoin or any other? Now, pretty much most of us will pretty much not signal Bitcoin because the proof of work consensus algorithm of Bitcoin requires that what? You must use up your computing power for you to discover block. And using computing power takes a lot of energy. All right. If we are to do a little, excuse me, if we are to do a little question asking, excuse me, if we are to do a little question asking the question, how much electricity is used for a Bitcoin transaction? Not Bitcoin mining. Let me just say a Bitcoin transaction. Yes. Uh, this guy is saying it's gonna take 707 kilowatt hours of electricity. I don't know, but pretty much I think I do not know what is the. Someone should please give us an idea. What is the current electricity charge? Current electricity charge for NEPA. 5,000, 10,000. Who has bought unit in the past few days? How much did you pay, and how much kilowatt hours did you get? Please, the fastest fingers should give us an idea on the chart. I want to work with real numbers. Okay, 209 naira on Google. How? Okay, let's work with 209 naira. for band A, regardless of the band. So if 1 kWh, let's put it this, if 1 kWh is 209 and a transaction takes 707 kilowatt hours, it means one Bitcoin transaction will cost you 147,000 naira. Technically, that's what it means. This is what it takes to process one Bitcoin transaction. So definitely, okay, all right. So definitely 63 kilowatt hours would cost you 100 CDs. So pretty much 630 smart from Ghana. 630 means it is going to take you 1,000 CDs, right? And we are talking of 707. So definitely you should be thinking of 1,200 CDs thereabout. I don't know what's the implication of that. But if from the Versailles Declaration, we are looking at an energy efficient policy. These guys either build or subscribe. Now, with the World Economic Forum already signaling blockchain technology as a streamlined technology infrastructure for financial transactions. In fact, most of the central banks are already researching on developing their own blockchain technology narratives for their financial infrastructure. Just that probably it's not going to be public, all right? But it's going to be decentralized in the private way, right? So pretty much, this is what it means. Let's take, for instance, let's take a player like Tesla. Will Tesla that needs electricity because she's selling electric cars, will Tesla settle for you paying for a Tesla car using Bitcoin, knowing what it takes for that transaction to be successful, the amount of electricity that will take? Wouldn't Tesla settle for if there's a blockchain that does not consume electricity? Then this now takes us to the question, are there options? Well, there are. Most energy efficient cryptocurrencies, or what we call green blockchains, we have them. I'll pick a few. One, Ethereum. The fun thing I want to tell you about Ethereum is that in 2022, Ethereum moved from proof of work to proof of stake. Moving from proof of work to proof of stake meant that Ethereum reduced her energy consumption by 99.9%. So in other words, if Ethereum were using 100 kilowatts hours just for a transaction, when she was running a proof of work mechanism, when Ethereum moved to proof of stake, Ethereum is now spending less than 1 kilowatt per hour. So pretty much 0.05 kilowatts per hour. This is what it takes them, cutting down the energy usage. And pretty much is a question we should ask. Why will Ethereum in 2022 move from proof of work to proof of stake? Is it that Ethereum was seeing something in the future that energy efficient blockchain technologies may have a massive market? So pretty much there's a lot of innovations that will be built on top of Ethereum. Of course, it now makes sense. Solana is on top of Ethereum. Polygon is on top of Ethereum. Linear on top of Ethereum. Base on top of Ethereum. A lot of solutions on top of Ethereum. Why? Because the base layer is a green blockchain, or what we call an energy efficient blockchain. As we speak right now, Visa is testing transaction on the Solana blockchain. As we speak right now, PayPal is testing her stable coin on top of the Ethereum blockchain. What does this tell you? These are future narratives way beyond the use case cryptocurrency markets that are worth researching, worth investing in. Stellar. Stellar is an energy efficient blockchain. Stellar is priding herself of having the cheapest transaction costs when compared to the Swift network. As it stands now, institutions like IBM and MoneyGram have gone to partner with the Stellar Foundation. This is what the network consumes for transactions. 0.1 kilowatt hours, while Bitcoin is consuming 707. Other energy efficient blockchain include Avalanche, Solana, which runs on top of Ethereum, Cardano, IOTA. Pretty much, let me say a little bit about IOTA. IOTA is a blockchain that intends to promote the concept of Internet of Things. We discussed this, which is a core part of Web 3.0. Internet of Things refers to the communication between devices in everyday life, ranging from your TV to your smartphone to your refrigerators. I think I gave you an idea of that. Many believe that Internet of Things will become more evident in years to come, making IOTA, the blockchain, the best long-term project for it. One thing that sets IOTA is because IOTA wants to facilitate a transaction between devices. So a device can transact with another device without you initiating it, using what they call the Tango. Now, the Tango is a distributed ledger system that does not require mining for validation, thus eliminating transaction fees and making transaction extremely energy efficient. Others include Hedera, Tezos, and the list go on. So these are narratives that matters to the future. Altcoin narratives for the future, beside green blockchains, also is what we call mobile integrated blockchain ecosystems. Now, in the early days of cryptocurrency adoption powered by Bitcoin, only a few people were working to validate transactions. I think I explained this in the first model. And the minting or mining of blocks in the early days, people made like 50 Bitcoins just for minting blocks. And during that time, you can do it with your laptop. All right. As this currency began to gain popularity, clever miners realized that they could earn more if they have more computers or faster computers. And for you to get a faster computer is a function of the processor. Thus, they began to cheat the system by now replacing their normal laptops with faster processing mainframes or rigs. And as Bitcoin continued to increase in value, we begin to see companies coming in and joining this minting enterprise, thus making the minting enterprise a difficult terrain. When this becomes difficult, it then translates to mean that effort begin to consume large amounts of computing energy, which in some sense were contributing to environmental issues around the world. But most importantly is the fact that it then created a problem. What's that problem? The centralization of money and the centralization of power. What do I mean? It means that Bitcoin or the Bitcoin minting process is not available for the poor man. Yes, the blockchain was decentralized, meant for everyone, but the average man cannot buy the machines that can give him room to express himself in that blockchain because those machines are not cheap, all right? They are not cheap. Thus, only those who have money and those who have power can afford to find themselves to can afford to find an expression in the mining enterprise, thus kicking the average person. And by so doing, creating what we call a centralization of money and power. Thus, as far as the first generation blockchains they are concerned, the likes of Bitcoin, only the rich can mint Bitcoin. Only the powerful can mint Bitcoin. But that was not the original plan of the Satoshi white paper. The Satoshi white paper was to create a currency that powers everyday transactions. Now, everyday transaction means I should have a room for expression. You should have a room for expression. But because the proof of work was built on computing power, the more you can work, the higher your chances of discovering a block. The higher your chances of discovering a block, the higher your tendencies of making Bitcoin. Thus, if you cannot afford a machine that can mint the block or that can solve the computational puzzle in split seconds, you are out of this business enterprise. Now, this was the problem. Thus, this did not align with the device demography of the world. Because you see, while we need the fastest computers in the minting enterprise like Bitcoin, most of the devices of this world are mobile devices, completely kicking them out. Thus, that created a problem because that could not achieve global adoption. And because of that, blockchain solutions that will build their blockchain narrative wherein it will embrace mobile device owners or will include mobile devices in their algorithm ecosystem will lead the way, because this narrative is the best route to global adoption. Thus, if that's the case, blockchain solutions that are decentralized but not energy demanding will have a room to make massive solutions for the future. If those blockchain technologies are compatible with smartphones, that even makes it better. If those blockchain technologies are extremely user-friendly and ideally okay for consensus mechanism on personal computers and mobile phones, not forcing me to go and buy a very powerful processing computer, but even my mobile phone can give me room for expression in that ecosystem. Those blockchain will achieve global adoption more than first generation blockchain, like in the case of Bitcoin. Thus, blockchain that have mobile mining mechanisms, blockchains that have tapping decentralized apps, and blockchain narratives that have mobile gaming decentralized applications on them, and blockchains that have mobile utility decentralized applications on them pretty much may charter a new use case, which will attract investment. The third altcoin narratives that you should begin to research around is Web3 social blockchains or blockchains that can power the future of social networks. This is so important because Web 2.0 social networks, the likes of Facebook and TikTok, are not good enough. Why are they not good enough? Web 2 social networks like Facebook and TikTok have been laden with so many flaws. Flaws like the propagation of misinformation and disinformation, the concept of trolling and internet violence, the concept of social engineering attacks, you name it. Information overload, low signal to noise ratio. Recently, we pretty much had an issue with the founder of Telegram, right? Was arrested in France. What were the charges laid on him? It has to do with how he could not control wrong information, concept of violence, concept of things that have to do with laundering. They even went as far as saying terrorism. Well, some years ago, it was Mark Zuckerberg on Facebook. So technically, Web 2.0 technologies, to a certain level, are not good enough. Web 2.0, not only are they not good enough, they are centralized. This system can hardly moderate online behavior. And because they can hardly moderate online behavior, they do not support members to create content and social interaction that will improve user experience in the context of public forums, coming from the understanding that this public forum should not be choked with misinformation. This public forum should not be choked with violent content. This public forum should not be choked with phrases that regulators or the system will frown at. This then brings Web 3.0 narrative to play. Why? Because a true Web 3.0 social platform should foster authenticity, constructive conversation, and healthier online social interactions. How do they do it? By integrating tokenomics, which is brought to the limelight by blockchain technologies into the core of social interactions. Thus, these tokenomics should be designed to both reward positive interaction and curb negative actions. A Web3 social network of the future, this is something that I think will definitely happen in the future, where blockchain technology not only serves as a layer of ownership and digital assets or storage for distribution, but also provides solutions through incentivization and disincentivization, and also enable design via cryptocurrency to create a new quality internet experience with better content. These contents are authentic. These content are constructive. This content promote conversation. These content are healthier and even bring reward. Thus, in the concept of incentivizing social interaction and the incentivizing social interaction, the future social network platforms are going to use costs, crypto coins, as a vehicle to enforce accountability and improve authenticity. This mechanism is very difficult for the Web 2.0 social networks, like the kinds of Facebook and TikTok today. Now, what do I mean? This is what I mean. The future of social networks will require you to spend crypto coins if you want to upload any content on media. Let's say, for instance, you who is a slay queen, or you guy who wants to be an influencer, you have a content that pretty much you think will trend. Now, you being the content creator, you will not just take your app like TikTok on video and you are live. And in that video, probably you are ranting and saying all you want to do. That's one side. But in the Web 3.0 social network narrative, you will spend crypto coins to upload that content. That's first. It's not going to be free because cost will be the power or the vehicle that enforces accountability. You will spend money to upload content. Now, if that content is worth trending, anybody who wants to respond to your content was also spend coins. Now, you being the content creator, as you, when your content begins to trend, you instantly make money. Why? Everybody who is going to like, retweet, share, comment, or anything, he have to use cryptocurrency to power that activity. For him to share, he must spend coins. For him to respond, he must spend coins. For him to do this, and the more they spend coins, the more you, the original content creator, recoup on profits. So probably you spend probably 2 tokens, 3 tokens to upload that content. Let's say you did a makeup class, and that makeup class is free. And pretty much you did a beautiful video on steps guide, blah blah blah, or pretty much you're a chef, step-to-step guide on this and that. Or let's say, like in my case, I'm running a blockchain financial intelligence courseware. So now this content, if it's good enough for the public, I may probably spend XYZ tokens to upload it on a Web3 oriented social network platform. When it's online, anybody that says nice class, wow, God bless you, you are not going to just type it. You are going to spend tokens. So probably this person is going to spend 0.5 tokens to respond. This person is going to spend 2 tokens to respond, depending. And the more they respond, you see that it reach a point that the 2 tokens or the 3 tokens I spent to upload that content will be absorbed by how my content is trending. Then reach a point that I will now be recouping on the profit. Now, this is the system, or rather, this is blockchain technology alongside Web 3.0, promoting accountability, promoting authenticity. If what I did is not what the majority of the space want, they won't respond. And if they won't respond, I've just wasted money uploading rubbish. That alone will send correct message to my brain that next time I want to upload content, since I'm going to spend to upload it, I may do what is right. Now, this is the disincentivization. Because when you do something that promotes healthy interaction, you get incentives right to your wallet, because it's going to operate on what we call Web 3.0 browsers. And Web 3.0 browsers have decentralized wallets laced in those browsers. So pretty much the coins drop in your wallet and you can take it elsewhere and do what you want to do. This now takes us to planning for long time and retirement. I think we're about ending. About ending. Now, we have said a lot of things, right? Now, this is us putting a lot of things into perspective. Do you know that the crypto market, and by extension, the blockchain technology, the narrative that comes with it, can give you the opportunity to plan for long term, in fact, to plan for life? One of the goals of the human soul is to achieve what we call freedom. That's the goal. All this tear and wear that we are going through is to achieve freedom, most especially in an economic sense. In an economic sense, economic freedom, your ability to go anywhere you want to go, your ability to be associated with the best of the systems, if only you can afford it. And many of us are just where we are because uh, the Nigerian adage, condition is making the crayfish to bend. Now, condition they make crayfish bend. In other words, left for the crayfish, if the crayfish would have its way, the crayfish will rather be a whale than just some crayfish, as the case is. Now, putting a lot of things into perspective, if we look at the benefits that comes with you making the right decisions across even the crypto market, you can make massive gains for yourselves. Let me explain. Now, we came from, excuse me, we came from an understanding of financial intelligence strategy and application. And from just 3,000% ROI across any given bull run, so 3,000% definitely is, let's do it this way. It means your capital multiplies by 30 every bull run. Now, this gives you opportunity to make a lot of things. One of the lot of things that you can do, and this is you planning for your retirement, is you can secure citizenships by investment. Do you know that the crypto market can definitely empower you? Do you even know that you can become a citizen of another country by investment? Do you know? I mean, what are these countries we're talking about? What are these countries that we're talking about? St. Kitts, Antigua, Italy, Hungary, Dominican Republic, St. Lucia, Turkey, Spain, Vanuatu, Ireland, Malta. Some of them you can get residency by investment. Some of them you can get citizenship by investment. So let's consider citizenship by Malta. So Malta does what they call Maltese citizenship by naturalization for exceptional services by direct investment. So let's break it down as two things. All right. So first of all, you do two things. One and two. The first thing is you donate. You donate to the country either 600,000, and if you donate 600,000 to their fund, they call it development fund, it will take you 3 years for you to become a citizen. But if you donate 750,000 euros, it takes you 1 year. So this is the first phase. Okay. And can you achieve that? Well, I thought we just, what's the right word? I thought we just did a financial intelligence strategy wherein you are cycle trading your tokens across the crests and the troughs of the market. Let's be very specific what we're talking here. Let's be very specific what we're talking here. Okay, why is this guy wasting my time? Let's be specific what we're talking here. So what do we say? Maximum candlesticks, right? We're saying something very important. Cycle traders do what? They buy here. They sell here. only to buy back here. They sell here, only to buy back here. So their investment decision is like this. Whatever they recoup here, they do what? A financial intelligence strategy, and they apply it. Because what they leave for the market avails them to buy more of the tokens here. And when it appreciates, they sell. And here, they also apply a financial intelligence strategy application. Now you should understand that this is you, in every sense, planning for retirement. Why? Very important. This is not just some kids play. Because if you start here, by the time that you finish your first cycle, you have spent 4 years. And we are saying that by analysis, 3 years, 3 cycles can make you extremely wealthy. And one of the things you can do with that wealth is plan an excellent future for yourself. So by the time that you are finishing your second cycle, is another what? 4 years. So should you go through your third cycle, is another 4 years. 12 years of your life. You better have a strategic plan. You better be intentional. Most people who have been in the market as far back as 2016, they made an excellent use of this. Let me give you an example. Energy blockchain. This blockchain is built by somebody who benefited prior to 2016. I think the person bought thousands of Ethereum. I think less than $1. And cycle traded it, then used his profit to build his own blockchain. I'm just giving you practical use cases or practical ideas about long-term planning, planning for your future. I term it planning for retirement. The MEX exchange, MEXC, yes, is also someone. Will this open? I'm not sure. Yeah, crypto ban in Nigeria, I doubt. The owner of this blockchain was a user like you in previous bull seasons, in previous market cycles. But what do they do? So what am I trying to say? There is no explicit rule to live by, but come on, it's sustainable for you to build a significant future for yourself. And one thing that we know about the human soul is that the human soul wants to achieve freedom, right? So one option is pretty much you invest in citizenship. Most especially countries that allows you to hold the dual citizenship status. And Malta is one of them. All right, Malta is one of them. Malta is one of them. Some of you, some of you will not even see 3 bull runs. Like serious. Some of you who buy a meme coin of, let's say, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, you know, that's the price of a meme coin that would do magic probably this time next year. So pretty much some of you would take, let's say, $90 and they bought that meme coin. All right. And that mid coin will now shade 4 zeros because this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it's going to shade 4 zeros or 3 zeros or 5 zeros. So the coin now becomes 0.123, let's say 67. You're already a millionaire. Some of you will use this and build solutions. Some of you will use this and just plan for your retirement. Either way, it's high time you begin to zoom out. And one thing that pretty much works for both, you live with convenience, is for you to be a truly global citizen. Amongst the many countries, oftentimes I review Malta. So as I was saying, before our time's up, for you to do into the citizenship by investment program, you do two things. The first thing is what you invest in their suffering fund. You either give them, you either donate 600,000 euros or you donate 750,000 euros. And pretty much for somebody who the market have secured this number and the person is doing, let's say, 60-40, 60-40, 60 for himself, 40 for the market. So pretty much is times 0.6. So you pretty much have 1.2. Of 1.2, he pretty much, I do not know the exchange rate between the dollar and the euro, but an idea. We are just doing an idea. Just doing an idea. So pretty much 600, right? So that's phase one. Now, phase two is saying that you have to invest another, excuse me, you have to invest another 700,000 in what they call real estate, residential real estate. So technically, residential real estate is you just buying a house. All right? Residential real estate is just pretty much you buying a house. So you are not renting pretty much. And probably you can afford you room to not only buy, pretty much you can be a landlord, right? So residential real estate in, let's say Malta. So let's have some sneak view. Let's have some sneak view of how it looks like. Now, this is me bringing you to speed to killing the mindset that is only built around airdrop, alpha, and stuff like that. Nah, these are just little tiny pieces of opportunities that if only all your life is alpha and airdrops, come on, you are missing out. The market can create so much for you. And by the time that we're having this discussion in the next bull cycle, let's say in the next bear market, 2027, we expect the market to be right in the next year. 2026, 2027, we are pretty much in the thick of the bear market. People are crying, crypto have crashed. But you guys who understand cycle trading, you even want it to crash the more. Why? The more it crashes, the more you can, do a lot of things. So we are talking about buying. We are referring to a property. And what's our limit? They say 700, right? So let's say 300,000 to, let's say, 600. And let's search. All right. If we get something, fine. So pretty much, this is a 475. So you can have two of these. One is rented, one you stay in. This is a 5 something, this is a 3 something. No, this is a penthouse at 350,000. Now, this is your requirement of citizenship, right? Planning for retirement. This is what the future holds. This is what this era of wealth transfer can bring. There's no beating around the bush. You cannot just sit and not maximize. And all these things is just one use case. So we are just trying to tap as much potential that will come from the use case called currency markets. See, there'll be a use case around logistics. There'll be use case around identity management. There'll be use case around e-governance. There's be a use case around cross-border payments. There'll be many use cases. Cryptocurrency market is just one of the use cases that have the privilege to pretty much, what's the right word? To be an early stuff. Okay. What else? Let's check this one too. I think we are pretty much rounding up. I told you it's pretty much like a town hall. So it's pretty much like a town hall. So it's us saying what can be and what can we do. So this pretty much, those guys are on the high side, but you can fine tune your parameters. You can fine tune your parameters and bring it down to 650 and click the filter and search. So pretty much you can see many options: 625, 530, a townhouse, an apartment. The list's gone. This is part of your requirement. If you have dependents like a wife, it will attract an additional 50,000. Pretty much a child, another. But you will agree with me that this is another narrative of investment, building yourself, building yourself. Ladies and gentlemen, 2 bull runs, 3 bull runs for a cycle trader who enters the market when coins are cheap during the bear market, exit the market in the tip of the bull run, only to come back in the next bear market and exit with an excellent expenditure strategy, applying financial intelligence. You never can tell how massive your life can change. I'll end by giving you a sneak view of what the bull run seems to bring. All right. So we all know that the Bitcoin has undergone 3 halvings, halving in 2012, 2016, 2020, and right now there's a 2000 halving in 2024. Everybody knows that. So pretty much this is the market as we know it, right? At halving in 2012, Bitcoin was $12. All right. Then it moved to $1,000. Then it fell back to $200. I want you to see the opportunities that was there. During that time, prior to 2024, only the retailers are the one who can pump the market and do whatever. But by virtue of the ETFs, we have now found institutions coming in, right? So the market is about to be more dynamic than we have ever known. Technically, we are in an uncharted territory because what we have known in the past, we just got the feedback that it's not as we know. Never in history has the price of Bitcoin passed the previous all-time high before halving. Never until this halving. Before the April halving, the highest that Bitcoin has gone was 67, 68, 69. But we now saw Bitcoin breaking 69 and going to as high as 73,000. Hmm? So, yes, we know a lot, but we are also learning. Now, when we put everything together, we should be positioning ourselves for the next bull run based on some specific stats, right? We never can tell when exactly are we going to get out of the market. But definitely there are things we should consider. How long in days does a bull run take? What is the percentage appreciation of Bitcoin in each bull run? Because I don't need to say much. We have already established the fact that Bitcoin is actually the guy that actually pulls the market or tanks the market in either direction. Thirdly, what is the market cap trajectory for each bull run? In 2012, from the bottom of the price of Bitcoin to the highest it went, it took 756 days. In the 2016 bull run, from the bottom to the top, we saw it taking 800 and pretty much 75 days. In the 2020 bull run or halving, from the bottom all-time low, which was around 8K, to all-time high, we went as high as 69K. It took us pretty much over 1,000 days. Technically 2 years from low to high. Now, when we look at percentage appreciation, in the 2012 halving, after halving, we saw the price of Bitcoin going 93 times. In the 2016 halving, we saw the price of Bitcoin going 30 times, times 30. So pretty much we saw a 3,000%. In the 2020 halving, we saw pretty much an 800 to 900%, 7.8. People are predicting that in this next halving, we are going to see Bitcoin going ×4 from its previous high. All right? Or rather from its previous low. The price of Bitcoin as of halving we expect to see a multiple of that. Now, nobody was predicting that the price of Bitcoin at halving will reach 70,000. Worst case scenario, we're expecting that the price of Bitcoin at halving, April 2024, will be around the 40-something K. Worst case scenario, or let me say best case scenario, 40K. But right before our eyes, we saw a blow off to 70K. So there are two things that we should understand. It's important for us to understand the length in days, the percentage appreciation of Bitcoin, and market cap. These three things, or rather, these three things are important stats. The 2012 bull run, the market cap went as high as 14 billion. At that time, Bitcoin was $989. In the 2016 bull run, the market cap went as high as 812 billion. At that time, the price of Bitcoin was 19,600. In the just ended bull run, the market cap went as high as 3 trillion and the price of Bitcoin was at least $67,000. So now the big question is, when should we get out of the market? What are we looking at, right? What will be the projections? What will be the predictions for the next bull run? There are many things that we should forecast. The first thing is people have concrete idea of what the price of Bitcoin will be. People have a concrete idea on what we should expect in the market cap. What people do not have an idea is when exactly would this be achieved. So when it comes to the price of Bitcoin, we expect that in the bull run, we should see a minimum of $120,000. In fact, people have the opinion that Bitcoin may touch 100K this December. All right, as the first wave. On the average, we expect to see probably around 150K. We may see a blow off to 180K, 200K, probably. Blow off projections are pretty much unlikely, but pretty much the market can be excited. We can just see some crazy moments. But most players, most analysts from my research are expecting an excellent 150K for Bitcoin. Market cap for the crypto market, we're expecting, if market bad, like bad, we should expect an $8 trillion market cap. On the average, a 10 trillion market cap is okay. A blow off of 14 trillion, 13 trillion, 12 trillion, which is highly unlikely, but it can happen. So the big question is, what will be the bull run length? When should you be exiting? Yes, we all know that is next year. Next year, what? January, February, July, December, or is it even 2026? The truth of the matter is, nobody can actually tell you. But since three parameters will have to play into it, two parameters pretty much have a definite boundary. The third parameter is pretty much like a variable. So probably when these two parameters work together, they will help you. There are experts who have ideas, and pretty much I'm going to throw the ideas to you before we close. So Ian Belena is the CEO of Tokenmetrics. Bob Lucas is the founder of the Bitcoin 4-year cycle. Nathan Sloan is also the founder of the Investment Made Simple. These are pretty much excellent guys. You can look them up on YouTube. And around their narrative, they have three different ideas. The ideas are, one think we're going to have a left translated bull run. Another person thinks we're going to have a super bull run. Another person thinks we're going to have a right translated bull run. What do they mean by left translated bull run? Left translated bull run is that they are thinking we are going to have the bull run this year, 2024. Now, don't forget, this research was as early as December last year. They were giving their ideas. So when we entered the first quarter of this year, we saw how the ETF came in. Because of the ETF, one of them was the idea that bull run will finish this year, 2024. Next year, 2025, there's no such thing as bull run. Why? They feel the ETF will do the magic. Super bull run is saying that, yes, bull run may start this year, but the real bull run is next year, right? And the right translated guy is saying that from history, now look at it, let's go back. He's saying from history, the days of bull run have always been increasing with at least 15%. You can see 2012, we spent 735 days, which is pretty much a year close to 2 years. All right. In the 2016, it was no longer 700 days, but it was 875 days, increasing by 15%. He now said in 2020, we saw 1,000%. He said he feels the 2024 bull run probably will see 1,100 days or probably 1,200 days. And if that's the case, we should see the bull run to move even into the first quarter of 2026. He doesn't feel that market is going to capitalize next year, no. So left translated is saying this year, 2024. Of course, right now, you guys can judge for yourself. Super bull run is saying next year, 2025. The right translated cycle guys are saying, nah, we're going to see massive 2026. So this is Nathan. Nathan is pretty much expecting a $135 high. He's expecting a market cap of 8 trillion. He thinks Bitcoin is going to do 3x. He's exiting the market in April 2025 because he feels the bull run is going to be this year. So he feels December is going to be like, wow. So as we now enter January, February, March, he's out of the market. But I want to believe right now he's already getting the change of heart because we have had close to 5 to 6 months of market correction since we touched 70 something K. And even me, I think bull run has not started yet. Ian Bellena is also predicting a 150K. He's expecting that the halving is April 2012, that the bull run will start by April. He expects that the bull run is going to end between March to November 2026. He's expecting a market cap between 8 trillion and 14 trillion. Bob Lucas has two outcomes. All right. The first outcome is that if Bitcoin goes as high as $150,000 this year, 2024, he's expecting a possible blow off a little bit by December. So he feels if we are going to see $150,000 Bitcoin this year, that is the price that will decide for him his exit strategy. Right now, Bitcoin is 60 something K, right? So Bitcoin will have to do 2.5x. In other words, 1x double will be $120,000. So Bitcoin will have to add 30,000 on top of 120 to be at least 150. If that happens this year, he's expecting that the bull run is going to top by December this year. Technically, if we are to go with possible outcome one, we shouldn't have been in the 60K as we speak. We should be probably worst case scenario 90 something K. Because when we enter October, we should be touching 100K, even though blow off can happen. So that when the US elections happen and pretty much it now turns that it is a crypto-friendly candidate that win the election, we will see a massive blow-off and pretty much we'll be seeing 110, 120. Thus, by December, we may see crazy things. For him to consider the market ripe this year, he must see 150K this year. Alternatively, this is what he thinks. He thinks that 150K is possible, but that now this is him talking by February, because by February, March, we saw the 70K. He said he feels that the price of Bitcoin will fall down up till July, August. That's what he felt. That when it fall down, then probably the market will be getting prepared for the first wave of the bull run, which should start from Q3, Q4 2024. So pretty much anything from next month, we're entering Q4, and pretty much he believes that the first wave will go. Probably if the first wave starts by October, November, we may see 100K by December. 110. And that the market is going to correct itself anything for February, March, April, May. By June, another wave will start, which should top by November next year. and he thinks that is the super bull run. What are we saying in essence? Oh, my battery is super down. What are we saying in essence? Before I close the class, I think I'll continue by the phone. What are we saying in essence? Your eyes should be glued on this. One, the first thing that you should put your eyes on is market cap. They already told you that we're expecting minimum 8 trillion. So we're expecting at least 5 trillion to come into the market. How prepared are you? During that time, the price of Bitcoin also is an important thing. So look and look very well. You don't know the day, you don't know the time, but as soon as Bitcoin is already 150K, 160K, the next thing you should check is what is the market cap of the market. If the market cap has passed 10 trillion, there's no more magic that will happen, except the special cases of blow-offs. And blow-offs is a rare certainty. So pretty much what are we trying to say? Time is not our problem. Our problem is the price of Bitcoin and the market cap. If the price of Bitcoin and the market cap happens tomorrow, I'm leaving the market tomorrow. If I see a $10 trillion market and Bitcoin is over $150, I will recoup my profits and give thanks to God. If it happens tomorrow, I will decide tomorrow. If it happens December this year, I will decide December this year. If it happens in 2025, I will do. But from all looks, it looks as if we are in for a massive bull run in 2025. This then brings me to the end of my submission. But before I do the submission, I want you to look at this calendar. This is the monthly price focus. All right. If you look at the years of halving, 2016 and 2020, you will see that for 2016, by September, bull run began. Year of halving. By 2020, bull run began where? October. It began in October. It continued in 2021. Then by April, there was a market correction. Then from July, the peak was October and November. All right. 2016, there was a blow off. 2017, January, February was good, March correction. But from April down to July, August, then there was a correction in July, there was correction in August, then the final trend was in December. 2018 entered, market began to go to the red. You can see throughout 2018 was red, 2019 a little bit, not until 2020 we began to see the green candles. What am I trying to tell you? We are pretty much in our last phase. Last phase. Last phase. The year of halving, the year of halving, 2016, the last red candle month was August. 2020, the last red candle month was what? September. So this tells you that Q4 of year of halving pretty much in history has been a red candle. So thank you very much, everyone. I think I'll be stopping the Facebook. Um,